Alright, so let's take a minute to talk about the Formulas tab, and specifically the formula library and the auditing tools. So this here is basically a lay of the land. You've got your formula library here on the left with drop-down options, and you've got your auditing tools over to the right. I'm actually going to jump into a new Excel sheet just to show you how these work. So as you can see, I'm in the Formulas tab. I can drill down into any one of these categories, scroll through to get a sense of what each of these functions does. So for instance, the lookup looks up a value either from a one row or one column range or from an array, etc. So it's kind of an interesting way to see all of the formulas that Excel has to offer. There's some crazy stuff in here. To be honest, I have no idea what ceiling math is. We won't be covering that in this course, but if you're interested, it's here for you to dig into. So when you're writing a formula, there are a couple ways to do it. The first way, which I actually would not recommend, is to go into the library, pick your formula. In this case, I've just picked match kind of arbitrarily. And what that does is it populates the formula in the formula bar, and it opens up this wizard to kind of guide you through each piece of the function. You know, that's great, but I feel like it's kind of the lazy man's approach to writing Excel formulas. And as soon as you want to do anything more complicated, like nest formulas together or customize your formulas, this kind of breaks down because it holds your hand a little bit too much. So I'd actually recommend not doing that. I'd recommend clicking in the formula bar, starting with an equal sign, and writing it out the old-fashioned way. And as you can see, Excel still helps you along. This little box pops up. This is actually really useful. It guides you through each step to help you with the syntax. So if I'm writing a match function, I know that I need to start with the lookup value. I'll just pick a random cell, and then as I comma over, you see the bold text changes. So now I need a lookup array, and then I'm going to need a match type, and so on and so forth. So don't worry about match specifically. We'll cover that in the lookup reference section, but just so you know, that tool is there to help you along. The next thing to talk about is the auditing tool section, which is over here. It does some really cool things. It allows you to trace precedence, which basically shows which cells affect the outcome of your formula. And then kind of the opposite of that, it shows which cells your formula affects. You can show all your formulas in the workbook as text as opposed to the output or result of your formulas. And then the evaluate formula tool is a nice way to diagnose a formula when you have an error and you're not sure why you're getting that error. So to demonstrate that, I'm just going to do a really quick example. I'm just going to pop in some values in row 1, 5, 7, 8, and then in cell A2, I'm just going to do a simple formula, A1 times B1 times C1, which equals 280. That's great, but what if my finger slips and instead of an 8 I write the letter P? Now all of a sudden I'm getting an error value, and it's pretty obvious what happened in this case, but let's say those input cells were on different sheets or they were hidden and it wasn't quite so clear where that error was coming from. So what I can do is select A2 where my formula lives, click evaluate formula. What this does is it walks through each step of the formula and evaluates piece by piece so that you can see where your formula breaks down. So the first piece is underlined, it's A1. Click evaluate and it'll change to 5. So that's saying A1 equals 5. B1 equals 7. 5 times 7 equals 35. C1 equals P. And 35 times P equals hashtag value. So this tool just showed me that the error in my formula is coming from the value in C1, which is P, and as you probably know, you can't multiply a number by a letter, so I can take a look and say, oh yeah, I accidentally hit P, let's just change that back to 8, and then all is right with the world again. So there you go, you got your formula library here, your auditing tools here, both within the Formulas tab in Excel.